Go. All right, so I'm back for episode number 1 of 2021 for Life in Sports, and today I'm honored to be joined today by one of the hardest workers I've ever been around, Mike Murray. Mike, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, Connor. It's it's good to finally get on the show here. It's good.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm happy you finally got my computer issues fixed, and
Yeah.
as I do with every guest on this program, tell the audience a bit about yourself because you're a man of very lot of traits.
Yeah, so I'm a freshman in college. I'm 18 years old. I went to Xaverian Brothers High School in Westwood. I go to Assumption University in Worcester now. I played hockey and baseball growing up. I still play hockey right now. It's my last year. Um, I've known Connor for like the last probably 7 or 8 years of my life. When I became a bat boy, Connor was still an intern. So I have Connor by a year on the Commodores. So I guess it means I've known him for 7 years because I'm supposed to be going on my eighth year. But yeah, I mean, Commodores has been a huge part of my life, and Connor's become honestly like one of my best friends. I mean, just working together with him literally during the summer all day, every day has been a real pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't believe it's been that maybe too many years you've known me, but
I know, yeah.
but you talked about your hockey and baseball career. What are your like fondest memories of growing up and playing those two sports?
So hockey, I've kind of gone I've gone all over the country for hockey. I played just for my town team. I'm from a small town that's part of Boston called West Roxbury, and we played. I mean, I've gone when in the younger ages groups. We kind of kept it around here, but once I became a midget, which is like the highest level, I mean, I've gone to Canada 3 times with my team. I've played in Las Vegas. I've got to play at Lake Placid, the Olympic rink, where they won the Olympics, which is a very surreal place to even just step foot into. Never mind be able to actually play like a game out there. And I've done a lot of winning with my hockey team over the past couple of years, which has been it's been a lot of fun. But it's nice being able to grow up like with the same. I mean, I've played with the same kids basically my entire life, so we kind of play well together, so it's fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I know like that what you did with your sports, at a younger age led to what you're doing now at the Commodores. How did you first find out about the team?
So I my grandparents lived in Falmouth, or they summered in Falmouth. They had a house right near the field. Actually, it's right on the Falmouth road race route. And I grew up. I mean, we would go. My uncle is a big. He played a big part in my life. He's a big Red Sox guy. He was the president, vice president of the Bo Sox Club, which is like the Red Sox official like fan club. And he like always kind of brought me to games and stuff. And then after that, I started going to the camp when I was old enough. And that's when I really started to, like start to like baseball. Probably is when I started hitting up their camps. And that's kind of what probably like sparked so much of my interest for baseball. I mean, I've always loved baseball. Baseball's been my favorite sport my entire life. I've always caught in baseball. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, you bring up the camps. I actually did the camps too, and I was a kid.
yeah,
Actually, I think I got one at the Hustle Award one week. I remember that.
yeah. I
And
mean, I remember like sorry to cut you off, but I remember when I got older into the camps. I mean, it's funny because I started to get to know all the coaches and stuff, and I think that's what sparked my interest to become like part of the team. I kind of felt not felt the need to stay around, but I wanted to play more. I wanted to be with the team more because I loved the atmosphere that they had. Doing the slip and slide and stuff on Fridays was always the best with the players and stuff.
oh yeah, those are good memories and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah,
your first year as a bat boy, I think you told me that was the year Reese Hoskins was in the Commodores lineup.
yeah. So Reese Hoskins was my first year. So
And
I mean,
Kevin Newman.
yep. So two. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else is on that team. I mean, there's two MLB players right there though, off the bat from my first season. Who I mean, I still talk to Kevin occasionally. Reese remembers me. Um, but I'm trying to think of who else was on. I think that was Audie Afner's team, maybe. Um, I'm trying to think of who else though. I can't really remember that team. That was a while ago. That was, I think, 2014 was my first year bat bowling. So it's been a long time since that team has been around.
Yeah, I mean, my first year was 20. That was the 2013 team, and because
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
I came along in 2014,
2014. That's
and
right. Yeah,
I started off as a field intern because I actually found out about the team about an internship opportunity through high school umpire, and I was coaching first base, and he encouraged me to try to get an internship. And at the time, the Commodores only did college kids. It was,
yeah,
no high school kids allowed pretty much. But thanks to the former Vice President Mike Wright and Steve Brocklebank, they gave me a chance, and the rest was history. I went from a field intern to a media intern to a scouting liaison, and then the assistant GM. So I rose the ladder
yeah.
pretty well in that organization. So
It's good that you and I feel like you and I kind of sparked the connection pretty early too, because because I knew that you were when I made the transition from bat boy to intern. I was also still in high school. I think I was a freshman going. It was the summer of my freshman year going into my sophomore year of high school. So I mean, I was like the odd man out, and I knew that you would become an intern when you were in high school too. So I think that was another reason that like kind of sparked our friendship as well.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad to, pave the way for you guys.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got into the baseball side of things was the 2016 season,
Yeah.
and that was the year that the team had Michael Gigliotti, who who was one of the Warriors' top prospects, Deacon
Yeah.
Lippitt, JJ Matijevic. That lineup was Trevor Larnack was in that lineup. It was a very loaded lineup, and then a
Yeah.
rotation of Thomas um, Pasantino, who was the pitcher of the year in the Cape League that year. Brady Singer,
Yeah.
like you said, that and Corbin Martin was the our closer that year. So that team was very low. What do you remember about that team? Because I remember that we started off 500, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden JJ Matijevic came along, and we just started to hit the ball out of the ballpark all night,
I
and
mean,
we just went on a huge winning streak.
so that team. Like people always ask me, oh, like after the season, oh, what's your favorite team? What's your favorite team? And every year I say, oh, this past season, because it gets better every year, honestly. But that is a year that stands out the most to me, is because I mean, like you said, Giggs, Passantino, and Puckett, they were all temporary players at the beginning of the season, and they all worked their way into the starting lineup. They all made it to the All Star team, um, and they all got drafted out of a small school out of Nashville. Um, that everybody, the joke of that season was, what's a Lipscomb, because no one had really ever heard of it before. Those were the first guys we ever had from there, but now it's kind of paved the way for more. I mean, we've had Lipscomb players ever since then usually. um, but I think, like you said, like that team just stood out. We just had a lot of it, the team. I don't really know how to describe it. I mean, it was like you had to be there to like kind of to feel like the emotion that the team had. The team would just, all they wanted to do was win, and we made it all the way. And I mean, they
Yeah,
played they played their hearts out that
yeah,
playoff season.
yeah, they did, and I attribute that to the manager Jeff Trundy and the way he.
Yeah,
One of the most fascinating things with Jeff Trundy is I think we should back up a little bit. The way these Cape League teams are built is we start building the team and you step out of the front office a year before
yeah,
the season even begins. So by July of, let's just say it was
the year
2020
before.
season this year,
Yeah,
you guys would have already had a decent idea of what the 2021 team would look like. And
absolutely.
one of the biggest things that needs to fall right for every team is you need to hit on some of those temporary guys.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
the permanent guys might go Team USA, they might get shut down by the college coaches or vice versa. So you
yeah.
have to hit on those temp guys.
And that was one of the things that you kind of implemented when you were my boss last year or 2 years ago, is we needed to find a way to, if we were halfway through the season or going to the playoffs or whatever, and we needed a couple extra guys, we needed a way to find players that were going to fit right with our team, but also fit right in the league. So like we had, I mean, in the beginning of the year, we had the catcher from Babson, Sean Harrington. Like you would never really expect a Babson, a D3 school to have, I mean, a player playing in the Cape League. But I mean, he stayed for 2 weeks, and ultimately, I mean, like they didn't. I was talking to Coach Trendy about it. Is like ultimately, if we had the space for him, he probably would have stayed longer, And but the thing is we had two very good catchers, Matt Nelson and Troy Clonch that year. So I mean, it's just you're like you said, like the team builds off of temporary players. I mean, like Holy Cross we have a bunch of Holy Cross players. Cam O'Neill worked his way onto the team. Um, but like you said, I mean, just the team really feeds off of the temporary players.
Yeah, Clayton Daniel. I remember
Yeah,
and that team, that 16 team made it all the way to game three of the championship series. I think we
yeah,
lost 3-0 to ID in game three, and we left 11 men on base or something like that. And we just couldn't get that one big hit, and we lost the
yeah,
championship series. But then 2017, you come in.
mhm,
Nick Burrito became my partner in crime as a
yeah,
fan liaison, and that team, like every Commodores team we've been a part of, also started off slow, but then they made a late comeback and was able to steal the division title.
yeah,
What I remember about that team is we had a great offense, but like we had 4 or 5 first round picks in that lineup, but we just
yeah.
didn't have the pitching at the end because of the innings limits that are put on these arms.
Yeah, so that's I mean, like we always talk about, that's the tough thing that plays into the Cape League is that, pitchers want to come pitch here because it's the best league in the country. But then again, you don't want to overwork the pitchers because it can, it can hurt them in the long run because then you never know. Like we might have a Spencer Strider situation where he came the first year, goes back in the fall, gets hurt, has to have Tommy John surgery, and is unable to get drafted the next year. I mean, he was a draft eligible sophomore, I believe, right? Strider, and I mean he, I mean I know you can attest to this. I mean he seriously was one like at such a young age. I mean him, Durbin Feltman, they were some of the youngest freshman pitchers that we had that I've seen that have been able to throw the ball consistently well. And it's nice to see the young talent that we have there, but it's also their primary commitment is their college. So, and their coach feels the need that they need to get shut down, then that's their decision. We have no control over that. I mean, it sucks for us, but we have no control over that. So, and it's just tough because usually they'll, we like to see them early in the season, see what, see how they're like and stuff. And then when we get late in the season, it's tough because they get, shorter on their innings limits and stuff, but they get shut down. But it's hard for us. That's why the temps come into play.
Yeah, exactly. And then 20 and then we ended up getting upset by Wareham that year, and
Yeah.
I'll give credit to Wareham. They were one of the first organizations to really bring in the analytics because of
Yeah.
their
So, I mean,
hiring was of Wiseman, I think his name is up there in Wareham.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I go to all the games, and it's nice to see because there's Falmouth we have always had like a somewhat of a general manager's intern, and some teams don't. Like Bourne might not have a GM intern, um, but when you go to Wareham, they have I think it's like 7 or 8, and what they do is so they get a week on grounds crew, they get a week on filming the games, they get a week on I don't even know their other week rotation honestly, um, but it's nice to see that they're bringing in the analytics side of things to it reaches out to the people who are very interested in that. Like I mean, obviously at Falmouth we do now that we have synergy and um, TrackMan, we can do a lot more. But in years past, we've never had the ability to be able to watch someone pitching that we're facing that night from 2 years ago with their college team, right? But I mean, now that we have the ability to do that, it does help us a lot. So
yeah, you're right. Like in that team had Alec Boehm, Ali
yep,
Rutschman, Josh
yeah,
Breaux. And the thing that was so interesting, as I tell people this all the time, is that Ali Rutschman, who went number 1 in the draft,
yeah,
only hit about what 125 up here or something like that. Under
yeah. I think he was
200.
a yeah,
Josh
but
Breaux was on fire, so we had to start him over the number 1 pick in the draft.
yeah. The thing was is so Adley came in with so this was Trevor Larnach's second year with the
Yeah,
team, and he kind of got so I mean we have uh, I don't know if you so how players are sent to the Cape League is the coaches have our coach has very like good connections with different college coaches, right? So we have a pretty good connection with OSU. That's how we got Cade and Grenier, Trevor and Adley. And but you're right, Adley struggled hitting with the wood bat, and but it he went back to school, and it showed how much work he put uh into working on his hitting, you know. But
Yeah, I know. Like I remember, like in the 2019 season before batting practice, and when Brett Becker was having a hitters meeting, he brings up that story about Ali Rutschman. Now,
yeah,
most of these guys that come in, they've always been the best players, whatever they've been, whatever level they've been at, and all of a
yeah,
sudden they come to the Cape, and it's the first time they've ever struggled at the game of baseball in their life, and it's how do
yeah,
they handle that? Some guys handle it really well, like Ali. They go back to school and they have a big season. Some guys can't. They mentally just
yeah. And it's a lot of mental game is what Brett teaches them. You know, it's you know, you might hit a buck 25 with a wooded bat, and you're going to be upset by that. And I mean, I wouldn't blame you by being upset by that because you're playing in the best league in front of the top scouts. It's definitely hard to like comprehend that. But you know, what Brett instills in these guys is, I mean, do put the work in and the right things will happen. I mean, you'll see Brett there with players early in the morning hitting the cage and stuff. I mean, if they put the work in, you know, their time is going to come.
yeah. And in 2018 was a fun season. We ended up going to the Western Division Championship Series after we hit a walk off hit
Yep.
to send ourselves there. And what do you remember about that team? Because we had a decent lineup that year.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that was what Davis Sims. That was Davis Sims's year, right?
correct.
So, I mean, like I said, like I've worked for so many teams that like it's hard to remember everybody. But I remember that was a pretty good year. I mean, it was Davis Sims. We had the kid who lived with me, Herbert Iser, catcher. But I mean, that was a good year. Like you said, like they just put the work in. Like I remember, um, not to be biased or whatever, but like so Herb lived with me, and I remember when he came, he was struggling, right? And he you know, he had a problem with his eyes or whatever. He couldn't see the ball at night. Gets it fixed. Hits 2 home runs that first game. I remember one hopped the clubhouse door, and he almost hits like the shack in center field. And it just shows you how like when guys put the work in. And I mean he tried everything. I mean he was working with Coach Tony pretty much daily, um, and you know, just to put the work in. Like I said, if you like when you put the work in, the time like your time will come. You know, we were pretty in that year. We had a pretty good pitching. We had a pretty good pitching rotation that year too.
Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the job done in 2019.
Yeah,
Um, I get promoted to assistant GM, and
yeah,
you get kind of promoted to the clubhouse.
yeah.
And what was that transition like between me being a coworker of you, and then all of a sudden I'm kind of your boss?
So I mean, we had worked together for 2 years previous. So I mean, I was always used to, um, you know, just being able to like mess around with you. Not that we didn't do that, whatever in that year, because I mean, you know how we promote our clubhouses to have fun. You know, like I mean, we're always like the whole group. I mean, like we're usually hanging out at away games and stuff. Um, and I think it's good for you know it's a good working relationship, right? So I mean, when you worked with Taco or that first year, and I worked with Keith and Harrison, and obviously Harrison, that was his second year, so I had known Harrison before. um and it's kind of good to be able to bring, you know, a person like a have someone for 2 years to be able to show, like to show you, you know, what to do and stuff. So we went from Harrison and Keith, and then we had a whole new crew, and it was my second year. So I mean, you know, we had that was Andrew and Nick, and you and Taco as well. And then we went from that crew to basically a whole, you know, we basically redid the whole, you know, like general manager staff. So we had a new GM, and we had a new assistant GM, or obviously we had an assistant GMU. And then Eric, our old boss, got promoted to be the commissioner of the league. So I mean, it's I think the transition was good because you and I still had our working relationship, and I know we had 2 weeks there where it was kind of tough for us, but the crew that we had, I mean, we had Rebecca, Ben Gavoni, David Brake, and the crew that we had was good. Like Ben was the scouting intern, but he stepped up, grabbed a radio for those 2 weeks that we were having a little trouble there, and helped us out. And I think that's what shows like about the Commodores in the league in general. Honestly, is like the people.
Yeah, that I agree. We had a very good staff, and I
Yeah,
remember like I mean, we all kind of tried to rebuild the way we went about preparing for games and stuff. And I'll give you
yeah,
example. You would go in early in the morning. You would help out Will Hawks, who eventually became our bullpen coach, but he initially
yeah,
came in as that type of person that did all the game plans and stuff.
yeah,
And it was so weird for me going from a person who had to do the work to like supervising
yeah,
because
yeah,
it was like oh my god, you don't like you just have to see other people do the work, and you like don't want to like step in and like take over.
yeah. Well, and you don't realize the people who don't people who aren't working like for the team or whatever, they don't see how much work is put in. I mean, like you said, like Will Hawks and I would get to the field at you know 8:30, 9 o'clock daily on a home game. Um, and we'd start. I mean, yeah, I was the clubhouse intern and stuff, but I liked. I'm interested in the analytical side as well. So I mean, I would do research on opposing pitchers with Will and stuff, and we would do different things with Synergy and TrackMan, and then we'd go work on the field for a little bit. Um, and then whatever, take the tarps off, water the field, wait for field crew to come, and then we would do field crew. I mean, we were getting lunch together like pretty much daily, just because we loved being there. Um, we loved working together. So, but yeah, and then being able to work under you was awesome too, right? Because like you've known the system, I know the system. Granted, we had basically like a new crew, but like we knew we knew, and I mean, like we know the drill. It's like it's that's why I say it's good to have people who return. It's good to have people who are like there for a couple years, be put in position of power.
Yeah, like you said though, that 2019 was a tough season because we had so many rainouts.
Yeah. So I mean, we
Constantly
rained
at
out
the,
7 days in a row.
yeah, so we were constantly at the field like with all these makeup games. We had like 11 games in a week because we had to play a lot of like double headers to make up the missed time and stuff. I mean, granted, I wasn't too thrilled about having to play that many games, and
Yeah. But I mean, nobody was really. I mean, we basically, I mean, we rained out for a week in June, and we basically played every day in July. We never had a day off in July. I think we played 32 games in like 31 days, maybe.
yeah, that sounds about right. And then that unfortunate situation happened with Chris Fitzgerald and his family when he
Yeah,
had to attend to his mother.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden we had to like run the ship for like a week or two. And
yeah.
I'll
And
give you
I mean, it
stuff.
was good because you and I had experience with the team and stuff. It was in Chris had to rely on us because, like you said, he had to tend to his mother, and it was hard because we wanted to like be there for Chris and stuff, and but we could tell that what he wanted for us to do was to make sure things were running smoothly while he was gone. And like I said earlier, it was his first year, so I assure you that he definitely wanted to be there, but where he needed to be was with his mom, and that's where we came into play. Is we needed to be there for Chris on his family side of things, and then but where he wanted us was at the field, and that's where we came into play, and that's where Ben came into play a lot. Ben kind of transformed into another hand to help us through those 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember when we all had to like sit down and decide to, like if we were gonna go to his mom's funeral or not. And we had a
Yeah,
home game that day, and I think we ultimately decided that I would go to the funeral and
represent us. Yeah,
you guys, and you guys just do the field right because we owe it to our fans to be ready on a
yeah,
game day. Like
yeah.
no
And
excuse.
I think that well, I know that Chris that's where Chris wanted us to be,
Yeah.
and although we were, letting him tend to his or, helping him on his side, and like you said, like letting him tend to his family, I think that, I think it was good that you went and kind of represented us there. And I mean, we did other stuff for him, you know, um, but yeah, no, that was, and how we, kind of came together and we worked well for 2 weeks while that was happening.
Yeah, and then, all of a sudden in July, 32 games in 31 days, but the team somehow decided, "Oh, let's just go on an 11-game winning streak," and,
Yeah.
that was some of the most fun baseball that I've ever seen. Like, I'll never see
Oh
anything
yeah.
like that again. What do you remember
Yeah.
about
That
that
was,
streak?
that was unbelievable because, um, I mean, like you said, like, some of I forget exactly how we started off that year.
You were, like,
Um,
13 and 14.
okay. Yeah. So middle of the pack, and, but I mean, I remember that streak, and I remember all the locker room shenanigans after the games and stuff. Um, and the team was just having so much fun that winning came. It was almost like second nature that they were just like, winning all the time, and they were just having so much fun doing it.
Yeah, that team, oh, they were just a bunch of goofballs and,
Yeah,
slamming the chair and, doing all that
yeah,
stuff, and then I remember when without the standings on the whiteboard and stuff,
yeah,
they decide to change Falmouth to the bad boys.
yeah.
So
We
they
had a
like
quote
kind
of
of
the day on the whiteboard and stuff. I mean, that team was just very cheerful, and I think that's what you need is like one or two goofballs. And again, not to be biased. So Sam Weatherly, the one who smashed the chair, I had the honor and the privilege of living with him for the summer, and I mean, he was like some of the stuff that he would do at like the field. We won't go into it in the detail because besides the chair smash, that was pretty fun. That was awesome. But I mean, all of my host brothers have been like amazing. Like, you know, I'll drive with them, play golf with them, play PlayStation with them, and it just that's another reason why I know you've never hosted a player before, but you kind of have that uh, knowledge of hosting. And I mean, hosting a player has really been because I'm an only child, so it's been like having a sibling for me, and they just they fit in. Like we don't know who we're getting until the week before they show up, and all of our host players are just fit in like really well.
yeah, I mean, I hosted an intern, like, in 2017 during she became part of the family, that's what happens,
Yeah.
and you
That's
go
I mean, that's what it is. You do everything together, and it's awesome. I mean, go out to dinner after the game. Obviously, he's coming with you. I mean, they become part of your family, and it's almost like you get to know their family as well. Like, because I mean, most of the time, they'll family or the players' families will come up and for a week or so and watch the team, and you go out with them and stuff, which is awesome. I mean, it's fun. It's a really good like bonding experience.
yeah, and, once again, and I'll give credit to Coach Trundy about letting the guys be themselves and just being loose.
Yeah,
And after every game, we'd have like a big team meeting in the
yeah,
outfield. And not once did Coach Trundy ever mention the scoreboard, like
yeah,
winning or the winning streak.
hmm
He was just like enjoy it. He wasn't gonna get caught up in the moment. And
yeah.
I've learned a lot of life lessons from him and the coaching staff. And we won what three Western Division regular season championships together in 4 years. So like
Yeah.
that was
Yeah, no, we've had a good run, and I
yeah.
think that was what was awesome about like the Commodores, especially. I would give a shout out to our old boss Eric. It was like he gave me the opportunity to become part of the team. I honestly, don't really remember like how it went down. I just remember having a phone conversation. I was at hockey, because I do a lot of volunteering with hockey as well. And I remember having a conversation, like a phone conversation with him before I went on the ice. I remember I had like my skates on. I think I almost walked outside on like the concrete with my skates when he called. Um, but I think like being able to move up from, I mean, they created a position for me, and like I said, I was only like a freshman in high school, so being able to work with all college guys while I was still like at such a young age was like you said, it's taught me a lot of life lessons as well, just being around the guys.
Yeah, definitely, and, like, just being out of it now for a year, like, Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You remember a good amount of the games and stuff in some of the
Hmm.
heartbreaking losses. But the things I remember the most is like what we did like
Our
before the
friendship.
game and
Yeah.
like, our runs to 7-Eleven and stuff
Yeah.
and all those
And even
times.
just driving to away games, riding the bus is like, I mean, we rode the bus, like I rode the bus as a bat boy, and that was like, I remember like stepping on the bus for the first time. I was like, whoa, like this is a step up from just like you had to get used to it. I'm sure like what some of the stuff that I heard back then probably wasn't the best for my my like sixth grade ears, but um you know I mean, it was just like those were seriously the best time of life. And what Coach Trendy says is it's like it's hard saying goodbye at the end of the season, but it's never going to be a goodbye. It's just going to be a see you later, because I mean, everybody who's on the team becomes basically best friends. It's like you're with them for 2.5 months, and then you might not see them for a couple of years, but you stay in touch with them, you FaceTime them and stuff, which is awesome. And I think that's I think we owe that to Coach Trendy, because he kind of instills that in us. But
Yeah. Yeah, I remember his last quote after we got eliminated in 19 from Katuitt in the Western Division Final was is that we are fortunate to be a part of something that makes it so hard to say goodbye.
say goodbye.
And
Yeah,
it was yeah, just a lot of good memories together.
yeah.
Going on the golf carts, going on the
Picking
um
up home run balls during BP.
yep, I can't repeat what the players said on the bus whenever we
I know.
drive by the beach, but
Yeah, that was
just
not us.
a lot of good memories. Like you're on the golf cart with Becca LaJour and Brucey.
Yeah, Bucci. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and like you said, like it's the people that come and work for us. I mean, I can't attest to how the media team works, or how the field interns work, because I mean, because I'm spending a lot of the time with the guys on the team and stuff, and with our crew and stuff. I mean, if I wasn't going out with my family to eat, or going home to eat or stuff, like I was usually going out with our crew, um, with Bucci and Becca and Will and Ben, and
See, I missed
those are
that last year. I missed that in 2019, which is unfortunate. I would have loved to have been able to,
yeah.
hang around you guys, but like also, with the authority line there, I couldn't do it, unfortunately.
I know, we would have been crossing some boundaries there, but that's all right. We always have, and I mean, you've put in your resignation, but that doesn't mean you're not coming back. Like,
Oh, I'll be coming
I
back.
know you're going to be coming back.
I'll be coming back, but I might give a little space to Steve Rocklebank and let him do his thing. And I know Steve's going to do a good job with
Yeah,
running the show as assistant GM.
I think working for him, especially, um, is going to be good, because like you said, I mean, he's been in with the organization for as long as I've been in there. I don't honestly know how many years prior to that he's been with the league or with the organization. Between him, I mean, I know he used to coordinate the athletic training interns. He's the team physical therapist. Um, he was on the board for I don't know how many years, but I think that he has a good knowledge of baseball, and I think he'll be good. He'll be a fun person to work under, especially now, um, with my promotion as well. I mean, I kind of jumped from being the clubby, the guy who's doing the laundry after the games and stuff, to being the lead GM intern, which is going to be a good. I think this year is going to be a good year to warm up to that, because this year this year is still questionable. Um, I don't know if we're going to have fans, or if we're going to have no fans, if we're going to have a bunch of fans, because no one's been able to go to sporting events. Um, but and I think I'm going to be doing. I think my duties. I didn't really talk about this earlier, so I can go into that if you want. What I kind of do on a daily basis.
Go ahead.
Um, so and usually the first thing I do is in the morning I come in and do some field work, and I would help Will, like I said earlier, with some of the clerical work, and then usually, so the league provides the umpires, obviously, and we provide the baseballs for them during the game. So I would have to unwrap four boxes of balls for them, and they'd rub them up. Um, and then you kind of just you be there for them before the game and after the game. You provide a little security for them after the game, just in case um, the game went downhill for them. You just walk them down after the game, and then during the game, I would do. Well, I guess pregame, I would do a lot of different things: set up BP, break down BP. Um, I would do last year. I started taking over. I did a lot of the pregame field work, so watering the infield. My duties are kind of the mound and the clay the mound right before the or not clay the mound right before the game, but water the mound, rake it, um, spray paint the mound, do the um, spray paint the batter's boxes as well. Um, just make the field look presentable for the game. And during the game, first couple innings, you have to go out and work the parking lot because depending on when the game is, we have a lot of fans, and we don't have, especially with the new renovations, we don't have as much parking as we used to. So you have to be able to control a lot. But give a shout out to Falmouth Police. We get a little help from them sometimes. And then you're there for the bat boys if they need more balls or more water for the umpires, or there's been times where unfortunately fans get injured or whatever, or fans get hit by a foul ball, and you have to be there for them, which is tough to see, right? But you have to be there for them. We're just kind of there. The GM interns are kind of there as like the miscellaneous stuff. Like we get called on for the random things.
Or when the scoreboard goes down in the middle of a playoff game.
Yeah, and because a kid pulled the plug, and you have to go talk to him and say you can't do that anymore. But yeah.
A lot of good
It's a lot of just miscellaneous stuff.
Or like getting someone off the field because they rode their bike, like during play.
Between that or
the ducklings
stopping, the ducks stopping the play because the truck had to come down. Kids like crawling under the fence. And we provide there's only usually three general managers intern, but we provide like general security for like the whole game and for the team and stuff. And I remember there was random times where there was we probably should have been there was a camp that showed up, a summer camp that showed up, and there was probably, I don't know if you remember this, Connor, but there was probably 100 kids like rolled off a bus, and they were during the game. We need to keep them off the warning track because there's not really a fence down the left field and right field lines that just kind of leads it's wide open to the field, and they're sitting on the warning track and they're playing catch and stuff. And there was only one of me to like help them out, like to move them off the field. They didn't speak a lot of English. They were from like a couple different countries. But what I figured out is they were trying to do like a scavenger hunt at the game. So it was like, then they're asking us questions and stuff. And it just like, you had to, it was like I said, like we provide security. So it was like, I had to call like the other couple of interns to like, and Eric had to come out. Eric, and I remember Steve Brocklebank came out and helped us that day. Because there was just a lot of, it's like general crowd control, If you go to a Sox game, security tells you, you can't be there. And that's kind of what we have to do sometimes. And it sucks, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's what, and the communication in that sense is good. And, having the walkie-talkies is pretty helpful as well.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Steve and Deb Brocklebank for this. I remember one of the major problems when I was skying interns that we didn't have any like roped off fencing, and fans would say, "Oh, I'm just gonna go and like sit behind home plate." And I used to tell them like, "Nah, hey, you can't be here. Like this is for like scouts and MLB executives only." And they would, and one time this guy gave me an attitude because he's like, "There's nothing here." I'm like, "I'm telling you, like get out, or I'll get my boss and like, come tell you to like get out of the park." But then like the next day, Steve Brocklebank and Deb came in with like a sign that said Falmouth Commodores personnel only and MLB executives and scouts, and me and Taco would just put that up before every game, and problem solved.
Yeah. Well, and that's why it helps to have, like you said, like the walkie-talkies and stuff. It helps to have one of us, a GM intern standing behind the dugout, because we're there for you. We're there for Kathy. We're there for anybody upstairs from the media department. We're there for the bat boys. We're there for the umpires. We're there for the team if they need something. It's like, that's why it helps to always have somebody right behind the dugout, because it's that's kind of the center of things, the base of like operations kind of. And it's good to have the deck upstairs too, because if you know there's a lot of people there, I can head up there and just be able to, like you said, like make sure kids aren't whatever going on to the field and stuff. And it gives you a good advantage to be able to check in on things while you can just go up and sit on the deck for a couple minutes.
Yeah, and then we're also gonna miss like when my mom still works for the team, but she would like walk in with Daffy and stuff to the game and
Yeah,
stuff.
I know
Daffy,
we're a dog friendly park. It's awesome.
yeah. So she would
There's
come over.
always a lot of dogs.
So like some of the fans were like little kids and stuff. And one time, this little girl came up to my mom and was like, "Oh, can I like take Daffy for a walk?" And my mom said, "Sure." And then like it started the pouring rain, and
Yeah,
Daffy got like soaking wet.
yeah. Between that and I mean, your interactions with Chuck, like I
Um,
mean, now that Chuck is the president of the team, I mean, not that he wasn't there every game before this, but the good thing is he'll be able to actually be there every game. And I mean,
and cheer for the
he's
team.
one of the nice. Yeah, exactly.
He had to
Yeah,
secretly cheer for the Commodores, and he was the president of the league.
yeah,
He had me clap every time the Commodores scored, and like
yeah.
for him.
I think the good thing is he has such a good relationship with our team, especially Coach Trundy and stuff. But and I mean, he's one of like the nicest guys you'll ever meet, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, during Davison's walk-off home run, I was sitting next to him and his grandson, and
Oh,
I
that's a great
accidentally
story.
screamed something I probably shouldn't have. I should have screamed the four-letter word. I probably shouldn't have screamed in front of him, but
Yeah,
that's
but
all.
that's all right
A
because
joke.
he gets it though,
Yeah,
because he knows the drill.
yeah, he knows the drill. And one of my favorite memories last year was Taylor Smith's walk-off home run.
Yeah,
No extra inning,
and
and yeah,
yeah,
sitting on my lap.
yeah. So, and the good thing about like you said, like you're sitting next to the scouts and stuff, and sometimes they'll reach out to us to do, the testing and stuff, and we'll have to meet with them. And I mean, I remember some teams would bring like sports psychologists. I mean, there's a lot that goes into scouting nowadays. Like you said, it's a lot of analytical. It's a lot of analytics, and it's um, the kids, obviously don't like sitting down and taking a test, which I don't blame them. But if it's going to help them get to where they're going to get to, it has to be done. But but yeah, and like you said, like I mean, your relationships with the scouts is like awesome too. I mean, you and I are obviously diehard Red Sox fans, but like the one person that I will respect in the Yankees organization is Matt Hyde because we have such a good relationship with him.
Yeah, I mean we have to in my role as a journalism, we have to be careful what we say because we don't want anyone
Yeah,
to come back and bite them in the bum in terms of draft
yeah,
stock. But most of those scouts are the good men. I mean, they make very little money for the amount of time they travel. So
yeah. Between the time they travel, I mean, the time they put in, I mean, they'd be traveling, you know, all over the country. I mean, I know Matt Hyde he comes down to the Cape when he can, like when he can. And it's usually on some of his off days. I know he comes down to watch his guys because he loves the league.
yeah, and
But
then
you're right. They don't
and
get enough. They don't get enough credit.
in this past season, we had a first round pick in Carmen Majinski with
Yeah,
the Pirates, and was an interesting story with Carmen is that um, the guy that scouted him and drafted him was I worked with in 2016, my first year scouting liaison for the Commodores, and he was one of the scouting liaisons for the Wareham Gatemen. So like,
yeah,
we had that relationship, and I know like him and I went back and forth about him and stuff. And the thing is, when these scouts come and ask questions to me and Mikey about these guys, they don't ask us about their baseball ability. They know what their baseball ability is. They more
yeah,
or less ask us, what's this guy like in the locker room?
yeah.
How does he react to not having a good start? Like, how does he act in the dugout? Is he a good teammate? Stuff like that.
Well, and Carmen was one of those guys who used the tools that we had, like Synergy and TrackMan, to really better his game. I mean, I remember like walking in and seeing him spend countless mornings with our pitching coach Mike Landry, just talking about how he could fix how he could fix his pitches and stuff and his arm slot, and I mean, it showed because I mean, he threw some of like his best pitching of his life, especially after coming back from an injury that he had.
Yeah, and then Franco Alman and stuff too. Like him would
Yeah,
you just be before we started, you were going to the if there was a home game, he was walking to the locker room and he would be like sitting in his cubicle, like lights completely off, him just like
yep,
meditating, listening to music. So it was always interesting to see what different guys would do.
yeah. That's you're right. I mean, he was one of those guys that liked to keep to himself, but just you know played music and stuff before he starts. But you're right. It's interesting to see what different guys do. I mean, I know like I forget who it was honestly, but I remember I'm hearing one host family say that um like their pitcher would just like eat a pizza before the game, like before he started or whatever. Like it's interesting to see what I know other people listen to like heavy like death metal rock music and stuff to just get them pumped up. But everybody has their own little thing, you know.
Yeah, I always like to see that and stuff. And I know like some of the coaches have they tried to get me rein off of my bad eating habits. Um,
Yeah, Brett.
yeah, the
Brett tries to
hot dog, like 2 Fantas, 2 sour
bags of Sour Patch Kids.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've got a massive sugar high every game.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like you said, like our relationship with the coaches is on a much more than just a baseball level. It's I mean, I talked to Will Hawks, who, like you said, became our bullpen coach pretty much daily. Um, and, and some of our best friends are the coaches. But
Yeah.
because I mean, we see them, we work with them, we see them all day, every day during the summer,
Oh, yeah,
twenty
that's
four
why
hours.
that's why I mean, that's why I was so upset after he lost because like, we're not gonna be around them,
Yeah,
and
that's
honestly,
the toughest part.
if we won that game 2 at Katuitt, I think we win that series with Colin Mudzinski going for game 3.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a good game. I mean, Chris Gonzalez pitched the game of his life there, and
And
like
then,
you said, that
Nick
was that.
Gonzalez
Yeah,
happened. Nick Gonzalez that guy was a stud. Uh,
yeah, you got to give him props hitting that ball down the line. I remember that.
I mean, I think you told me a story that we should have had Brixie in the game at that point.
Yeah, I forget exactly what happened. I think there was a mishap there. But you're right, Zach Brixey. I mean, talking about closers, Zach Brixey. I mean, we've had some of the best probably college closers in baseball. I mean, Zach Brixey, Jack Little, Durbin Feltman, Ryan Zefferjon. That's
Gerard was pretty
four. What was it?
Thomas Gerard was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, those are, I mean, some of the best college baseball closers right there, and all of them have gone off. But like you said, like it all goes back to the temps. Jackson Coots. I mean, I remember sitting with him the day of signing day. It's 12 o'clock. We're sitting there after camp, cleaning up after camp, and I looked at my watch and I looked over at him. I said, "Congratulations, Jackson." I was like, "You just made the team." Like, and I mean, he was one of those guys that he put in the work. Like he started off a little slow, but I remember like middle of the year, towards the end of the year. I mean, he had some of the best hitting games of his life, probably for the Cape.
He was such a jokester. That's what I remember about him. Like he just had such like a good like
Yeah,
sense of humor too.
yeah. I mean, he would yeah, like he had his mullet at the end of the year with like the weird mustache that he had. I mean, he would wear that sun hat all day, every day.
And the
I mean,
shenanigans they would do, like with the media team, like
oh yeah, he had his
going after
chicken
the
that
game.
he would like squeak. Actually, I think I still have it here. He had his chicken that he would squeak, like he would like squeak it. But yeah, he was one of those guys that you're right. He was hilarious. His shenanigans. He worked his way onto the team. Um, but yeah, he's a guy that I talk to almost daily as well too. I mean, I still play PlayStation with him or just randomly talk to him because I mean he was one of yeah, like you said. I mean, I was very close with him.
Yeah, and then we had Hayden Cantrell. We've had you know,
Yeah,
a lot of good players. Steven Moretto with the
yeah.
weird high leg dance you do, and
At the end of the games, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was such
To
a
El Beeper.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's my one regret is that I couldn't, hope bring a championship back there. And I wish I got a ring, just one ring, but I'll get there someday with whatever I decide to do in this industry. But
absolutely.
thanks for doing this, Mikey. It was fun going back memory lane and stuff, and there's probably more
Yeah,
stuff we haven't
seriously.
talked about, but that I'll talk about in later videos. But
Absolutely.
there's also some videos we can't, also some stories we can't
We
tell.
can't talk about. Yeah.
But there's a lot of good memories there. So thanks.
Yeah.